Good day, everyone. I'm making this video to give you the answer of our quiz number one. What is outcomes-based education and why do we need to shift to this type of education? By the way, outcomes-based education or outcome-based education in our textbook I just received. I attended the seminar, one whole day seminar for this OBE, and we use the term outcomes-based education. But since our textbook used the outcome-based education, either ways, the OBE, so they're both good. Okay, so basically, we're going to look at our textbook. So Navarro et al. 2019 stated that an educative process happens between the teacher and the student. So actually, hindi lang dalawa. So in reality, we need to consider three major components in an educative process. So as mentioned, we have the student, the teacher, and the third one is the curriculum. So that is where the OBE comes in because outcomes-based education is a type of curriculum. Okay, so let's start with the student. Of course, the student should be the focus or the center of the learning process and the educative process. Without the students, there is no school, there is no educational institution. So they must be the center or the focus. Kaya if you answered in the first question that outcomes-based education is student-centered or learner-centered, yun, malaki ng points na doon. Okay? While the teacher, you are very lucky if you happen to have a teacher who has this gusto of imparting his or her knowledge to the students. Diba? Yung napakasipag ng teacher with all the passion to teach. So, swerte kayo pag ganun yung teacher niyo. Luckily, we have also teachers na tamad-tamad, petiks-petiks lang. So if that would happen, tendency is, of course, the learning of the students would be jeopardized, di ba? So it must go hand in hand yung estudyante at saka yung teacher. Of course, the student must also work out to learn. At gaano din kagaling yung teacher kung ayaw din mag-learn ng estudyante, so walang mangyayari. Okay, the third one, so the curriculum. You all have a different subject for this one, the curriculum development. I don't know if you already had the subject or if it take pa lang. So, we'll just focus on the outcomes-based education curriculum. Diba? Meron din tayo ng mga K-12. Yan. Bakit importante ang curriculum? Of course, kung walang curriculum, anong tuturo ng teacher? What will be the basis of the teacher in teaching? Yung estudyante din, alangan din naman na, sige, sila lang yung pipili kung saan sila gusto papasok, di ba? Without direction. Kaya meron tayong curriculum, meron kayong prospectus na lahat ng mga subjects na yun to be enrolled nyo so that you will graduate later for that certain course. Yan. So, as to the question, what is this OBE? Yun nga yung concern of the outcomes-based education. It should be student-centered or learning-centered. So the focus here is the learning instructions, no? So more on the content rather than on the teacher. Comparing, so we have to consider the student, the content of the learning, rather than whatever is the knowledge of the teacher. Yun yung tinitingnan ng OBE. So, paano ba i-implement itong OBE? Yun yung second question because you can find all the definitions in the internet, in the books regarding OBE. Pero, have you really grasped the thought of this OBE? Kung ano ba talaga itong OBE na ito? So, yun yung tanong. So, paano siya i-implement? Anong ginawa ng school for us to follow the OBE? Okay, let me cite an example dun sa ano natin, dito sa Moncas, no? So, we were advised to make an OBE syllabi. Okay. Dapat obedize daw yung syllabi. That's the term, obedize syllabi. So, what's the content of an obedize syllabi as compared to the non-obedize syllabi? So, first thing is there should be student learning outcomes. So, yun, at saka objectives. Yun yung mahalaga. There is an outcome and objective. So they must go hand in hand. Yung outcome is of course the product. So what will the student become in the future or after finishing a lesson? the student should be able to achieve something, no? So this is how the student will turn out. Or at the end of the program or course, yan, dapat na-achieve na din ito ng mga estudyante. Diba? So yun yung expected outcome. Of course, the outcome, kailangan gawan niya ng objectives. Okay, how are you going to reach the outcome without making the objectives, diba? So pwede naman, you will begin with the end in mind and start with the outcome prior to making objectives. But other teachers started with the objectives for them to achieve a certain outcome. Sige lang, we will elaborate later yung mga different outcomes natin, yung mga institutional outcomes, program outcomes, course outcomes, learning outcomes, and so on. At saka yung mga uh, objectives natin. So, we'll have it in a different videos, okay? So, yun yung ginagawa namin. Kailangang naka-optimize yung syllabus. The same thing with the lesson plan. Ganun yun din yung instruction ng Department of Education. It should be optimized. So, another thing, as the delivery of instruction, dati kasi pwede kami maglagay doon ng lecture. Ang lecture kasi, si teacher lang magsasalita nun, no? So, pinapalitan yun ng discussion because in discussion, it should be two-way. The participation is not only from the teacher, but as well as from the students. And if possible, it should be an interactive discussion para mas better yung learning experience ng estudyante. Yung mga ganun, as simple as those things, pero yun yung pina-follow within the room. Kumbaga ba, uh, based on sa seminar na inatenan ko, the teacher is no longer a rage on the stage. Sabi ng rage, galit, di ba? Galit si teacher on the stage. Kasi normally, inside the classroom, may platform, di ba? Nasa elevated yung teacher, nasa ibabaw yung teacher. So, yung rage, pag galit na galit yung teacher, or with all the emphasis na si teacher lang talaga nagsasalita for the entire session, yung ganon. So, it should not be like that. Dapat daw, in OBE, the teacher is a guide on the side. So, guide on the side, nasa gilid lang. Facilitator of learning lang si teacher. So, ganun yung nangyayari. Okay? Nakuha na yung OBE. Okay? So, we are focusing on the students, on the learners. Dapat yung instruction must be, would result to a better learning experience for the students rather than effort lang ni teacher lahat. So, minsan pinapalabas lang sa tenga ng estudyante. So, hindi ganun, supposedly. Okay? Pero depende din naman sa mga estudyante. If they would like to listen or not, diba? So, mas may learning experience, the better. Yun yung expected outcome of the OBE. And as to the question, why do we need to shift to this type of education? If you answer that, we are now in the modern world. We have this modern technology, diba? Yun. So, student-centered dun sa, or learner-centered dun sa first question. And second question is, we are now in the modern age, where we have the technology. Yun, perfect time yung score nyo. Of course, almost everything, diba? Is readily available in the internet. Not only in the internet, accessible na sila lahat ba? So, the teacher has this chance to only facilitate the learning. Magbibigay lang ng instruction. Kaya sa college instructor, nagbibigay ng instruction, facilitating of learning only. And the students will be the one to dig up. Kumbaga ba sa learn how to catch fish in the ocean. Parang ganon. Or, pwede din naman na, what's the term for that? There's another saying for that which I forgot na, yung kayo mismo talaga yung maghahanap. O, kumbaga ba, ganito na lang, let's have it in an example of learning how to swim. So, kumbaga, kung ang bata daw, gusto niyo matuto na lumangoy, itapon niyo dun sa tubig. And eventually, in a body of water, hindi naman tubig na konti lang, in a body of water, itapon niyo yung bata. And eventually, the child will parang siya na yung magsusumikap to learn how to swim. It's very effective na naman based on, nakikita ko in some video and saka mga learning, centers for swimming. Ganun ginagawa nila para matututo yung bata. So, parang ganun yung gusto ng OBE. Parang, The teacher is only a guide on the side, and the student should have this utmost learning experience. Yun. And because of technology, uh, kailangan na natin mag-shift. Wag na nating ibalik sa panahon ni na Socrates, Plato. Of course, during their time, wala pang internet, di ba? Sa time nila Socrates, ni na Plato at saka Aristotle. Alam mo naman, sabihin mo, sige, hanapin mo ito, bibigyan mo ng philosophical thought, tapos sila maghanap, saan nila hanapin? Of course, they have to listen to their teacher, di ba? So kahit under the tree, kaya nila mag-discuss ng gano'n, or sharing of their thoughts, of their idea. So yung mga philosophical thoughts nila. So ganun yung traditional natin na way of teaching. But before I'll end, I'll leave you a question ng ganito. In the Philippines, is it really good to apply OBE? Kasi ang implementer ng OBE, yung mga initiator nito is Canada, US, yun, sa mga European countries. So sila yun. So okay lang sa kanila mag-OBE. It's because the size of their classes is really small. Nasa konti lang estudyante sa room. At saka hindi lang isa yung teacher. Yung teacher na main teacher na nagdi-discuss, meron pa yung mga teaching aides, mga, di ba? Mga assistant of the teacher. So here in the Philippines, is it really okay that we'll have the OBE? Kasi nga minsan, di ba? Gaya nangyari ngayon sa atin with the blended learning, binibigyan lang kayo ng instruction ng teacher nyo. Tapos, ang nangyari, nagre-reklamo yung mga estudyante kasi sinabi, hindi naman namin nakita yung mukha ni ma'am na nagsalita in front of us. Yung parang ganun, nagbibigay lang ng instruction, hindi naman nagkaklase. Diba? So, ganun. Are you really ready for the OBE? Kasi sa amin sa math, sa major in math, let me share this one. We're still practicing the traditional method. You know why? I've conducted a research about this one. Hindi lang ako actually. There's this Donnelly way back 2014. So Donnelly 2014, i-cite natin yan kasi na-emphasize ko rin yan sa thesis ko. What he did, he sent parang mga different, parang meron siyang mga agents, kumbaga, pinapuntan niya ng China. So, ano bang pinagawa niya sa China dun sa mga agents niya? Kasi nagtaka siya, bakit ang China, they're really good in math, diba? Compared siguro kung i-contest natin ng math sa math yung US at saka China, baka tatalunin pa ng China yung US. Based on standing, China still, way up than those implementers of the OBE. And based on the data that they have gathered, yung observation ng mga pinadalang agent in Donnelly, they found out na China is still practicing traditional method. Traditional, pagdating sa math, traditional talaga sila. So, kung 1 plus 1 is equal to 2, ganun talaga. No, isusulat on the board. Chalk-talk pa rin is the best way after all for mathematics. Kaya, for the major in math, mahirap kasi, no? May mga terms na directly sasabihin mo o hanapin mo ito, hindi maintindihan ng mga estudyante yan. So, there's still the need for the assistance from the teacher. Nag-chalk and talk pa rin ako ngayon with the BSED major in math. Nagsusulat talaga ako sa board. Tapos, binibigyan ko sila ng way or shortcut on how to deal with the problem. That's the easier and the simpler way rather than reading on the books and finding resources from the internet, no? So, yung ganun. But of course, with other subjects, okay lang din yung OBE. Madali lang i-implement yung OBE. Kasi nga, pwede naman ibibigay lang yung instruction tapos gagawa na lang ng outcome ng mga estudyante. Pero huwag kayong magreklamo ng ganun kasi sabi niyo sa answer niyo lahat we need to shift to OBE na. Pero the actual implementation of OBE, hindi niyo matanggap. Di ba? Nagreklamo kayo, bakit ganun? Bakit ganito ginawa ni ma'am? Bakit nagbibigay lang si ma'am ng instruction? Wala mo lang explanation o yung mga ganun. Pero yung ginawa na ganun ng teacher nyo, it's already an outcomes-based education na practice, no? So, going back doon sa mga implementers na US, Canada, okay lang sa kanila kasi konti lang estudyante. But with China and Philippines, mahirap kasi napakaraming estudyante. No? Lahat pa-perform perform you will let your students perform inside the classroom lahat ng 50 students, mahirap 'yun, 'di ba? Okay lang daw sabi ng mga US teachers natin from Hungkayo, sabi na 7 students lang, 15 students lang, and then they will let the students perform. Madali lang 'yun, 'di ba? But here in the Philippines, mahirap talaga 'yun with so much students inside the classroom, 'di ba? So, let's not, ano din naman, as for my personal opinion, hindi naman necessary that we will totally eliminate the traditional method. Pwede naman, will have a mixed instructional strategy. Diba? Different strategy in certain lessons. So, ganun. So, I think that's it. Parang ang dami ko na sabi about outcomes-based education. So, yun lang. To cap up, OBE should be learner-centered or student-centered. And we need to shift somehow to this one because we already have the modern technology in which it's very accessible. Diba? So, madali lang ma-reinforce ang learning ng modern-day students. So, yun. Okay, thank you so much.